We are live.
Okay. All right. Hi, guys. Sorry about that. A bit of a technical problem this end. Yep. Welcome to Universal Toy Collector and Scuba Pete podcast. Awesome stuff. So today we're going to be discussing the Star Wars films from episode 1 all the way through to episode 9. We're going to be discussing the story. So we're going to be rating them on story, visual effects, and also the score. So, firstly, we're going to be doing a Star Wars, written and directed by George Lucas, produced by Gary Kurtz. The release date was May 25th, 1977 in the US, and December the 27th, 1977 in the UK. It was also re-released in 1978, 1979, 1981, and 1982, with Episode 4, A New Hope, being added in 1981. Fun fact. Go on.
I think because we had to generate another link, everybody else is in a different chat.
Oh, no way. Oh, man. Wow.
It's all right. I can do this. Let's see. Share, copy link. Copied. And we will send new link.
Oh, man.
Paste.
Chris Mear was in the room. Hi, Chris.
We'll get it sorted.
Teething problems. Awesome. Awesome.
Hey, Chris.
How you doing, Chris? Wow. Okay, so let's should we crack on?
I think we crack on. The others will.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah. In case you missed it, guys, obviously Star Wars ratings, the films from episode 1 to episode 9. We're obviously going to start with the original trilogy. We're going to do it in release order. So Star Wars, written and directed by George Lucas, produced by Gary Kurtz, release date May 25th, 1977 in the US, and December 27th, 1977 in the UK. It was released, or re-released, shall I say, in 1978, 1979, 1981, and 1982, with Episode 4, A New Hope, being added in 1981. As a fun fact, the opening crawl went against regulations at the time, as it didn't show any opening credits to film production team or actors. This was frowned upon but overlooked due to the film's success. So, Pete, over to you, my friend.
I remember this so well. I mean, I was 5 at the time seeing this in the theater, in a packed, sold-out theater. We were lucky to get tickets in the front row. And so Darth Vader, to me, as a little 5-year-old, looked like he was like 10 stories tall. And when he burst through the Tantive corridor, it like scared the crap out of me.
That's a fair comment. Definitely. So
with good
story-wise, what would you? So tell us what you think about the story and what score would you give it out of 5?
For story, I definitely would give it 5 out of 5. I mean that nostalgia, like I said, it's part of my DNA. If you tore me apart, there's the Star Wars in there. It's so amazing to see the futility, the struggle of the rebels versus this very bad Darth Vader, and way outgunned, overpowered, outmaneuvered, outshipped, everything.
Yeah.
The Death Star, seeing the Death Star for the first time, second time, third time. Every time I see the Death Star, rewatching this, it just blows me away.
Yeah, definitely.
And the fact that here's this ragtag crew, that comes together to do battle with the baddies. I mean, that's just if you know, to boil it down into very plain terms, but oh my gosh, just I love it.
I know it is awesome. It is awesome. So you've scored that 5 out of 5, yeah, for the story. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
A little bit controversial here. I'm going to go 4.5, 4.5. There is a reason for that. But basically, I thought it was a well-written and thought-out story. I think it was genius in writing a story that could be broken up into 3 different acts. If it was successful, you put episode 4 New Hope in. If not, you just leave it at Star Wars and you can still have your Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. I think it was there were strong and interesting characters. I thought the characters were really good. They stood out and you could, what's the word? You could relate to the characters. I thought they were good.
Yeah.
It was written as an old school Saturday matinee. And I mean, there was some cheesy dialogue. There was some proper cheesy dialogue in the film, without a doubt. And that's kind of stood the test of time. But for the day, I mean, it was absolutely awesome. And I thought there was a good balance between the seriousness and subtle humor. It wasn't over the top humor. It was just right, I thought. So
it was not Jar Jar Binks humor.
No, it wasn't. We'll get there. We'll get there. But yeah, so for me, it was a strong 4.5 out of 5, definitely. Visual effects.
Visual effects. I mean, I feel like I have to put my rose-colored glasses on. If I put my rose-colored glasses on, I'm going to cheat, and I would give it a 5 because it was just groundbreaking effects at the time.
Oh, yeah, yep.
I mean, to be shooting all this without computer-generated imaging, to actually be building physical models and pioneering new shooting techniques, and I mean all the guys that would become ILM. I mean, you know, get out to all the hobby shops everywhere and buy every model kit they got, and we're gonna slam it all together, you know, and it's gonna become the Death Star. That kind of.
I mean, yeah, it was. I mean, I've said exactly the same thing as you. It was groundbreaking for that time, as nothing like it had ever been seen. I mean, the way they used the stop motion, the models, how they built their own cameras and all that equipment. I thought it was pretty good. And the opening shot with the Star Destroyer going over the top of the screen. I would have been 3 at the time, or no, 3. So I wouldn't have remembered seeing it at the theater, but I would have loved to have experienced that. Definitely.
It never gets old, whether you're watching it on DVD or you're streaming it or whatever. I mean, that opening sequence, it never gets old.
No, definitely. I mean, again, with the lightsabers, I mean, how they did that, you just was like, wow, it was mind blowing. It's changed how films were made going forward, I feel, because I think it had a big impact on how films were made, definitely. And to me, it was a believable looking and sounding universe that was created. I mean, you believed every ship that went past, you believed all the sounds, and it looked used and like it was a used universe.
Yeah.
So I thought that was awesome. So this is going to, again, I've gone controversial and I've gone 4.5 out of 5. And again, there is a reason for that. So you've scored it 5. So
I gave
top mark so far out for you, yeah? Okay, right, score. Over to you, like as in the music score.
Oh, the music score. Again, I mean, it's John Williams' goodness. I mean, the godfather of Star Wars music and future franchises that we wouldn't even know yet. But watching those, I mean, you can put the movie on play, but not even run the video, just listening to the score and the audio. And I mean, it takes you right along with what's going on. I mean, it elicits such a emotional response.
Yeah,
and
yeah, definitely.
even still, and again, we'll get to them, but when you hear Leia's theme, even in the sequels, when they give that kind of haunting play of that theme, I mean, it just, you perk right, you're like, oh.
Yeah, it's
the military marches for
yeah.
The Empire. I mean, if I score the score, I'm gonna give it a big fat 5.
Wow, so full marks for you then, 15 out of 15. Yeah, awesome. I mean, again, I loved the theme. I mean, there was nothing more exciting than when you sit and watching a Star Wars movie and the big Star Wars logo comes up and it pans back and you've got that opening crescendo of the main score. I mean, that's just exciting in itself to listen to that, and you know that you're going to be in for I would say a decent movie. Again, we'll get to that further down the line with the others. But I thought they were beautifully balanced themes. Princess Leia's theme, I mean, that's just a beautiful piece. And when she passed away, they played it in 2016, didn't they, at the Orlando celebration, Star Wars celebration in Orlando. I mean, again, we actually watched that, and it did move me to tears. But at the time, it was a risky move going classical because it was pretty much disco was the thing. And so, again, it was a big risk. John Williams had previously done Jaws. So, yeah, I mean, his music is just, you recognize his music anywhere. So, again, I've gone 4.5 out of 5. And
saving those fives.
I'm saving those fives, definitely. So, what was... oh man, I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag. I'm not giving nothing away here. So, what was your opinion on the special edition? I mean, we've scored these. I'm going to go on the theatrical release. Yeah, I mean, the special edition, Star Wars special edition. What did you make of that?
I did not mind the Emperor being updated to the Palpatine that we all came to know. I did not have a problem with that. I also love the extra scenery added to Bespin to really flesh out the city in the clouds.
No, we're just going to go for the Star Wars, A New Hope special edition, and then we get to the Empire.
Oh, I did do that. I jumped my notes.
That's okay, man.
Let's go back. Let me rewind. So when they go into Tatooine, Mos Eisley, I do not like the special edition with all the extra added bits. I wish they just left it alone. I thought it was fine the way it is, and I actually own a deconstructed version that I would much rather watch than having all those, because it doesn't. It sticks out so much to me,
doesn't it? It does.
That
definitely.
It takes you right back out where you're like, oh, for crying out loud. I do not like.
For me, like you, the special effects, it just didn't fit in with the original effects of the film. It just didn't look right. It looked too clean. Do you know what I mean? It's like when you see Obi-Wan's, because they got Obi-Wan's hut, haven't they? They show that, and it just looks CGI.
Yeah,
it doesn't look real, because they used a lot of like sets, didn't they? And the lift didn't look, but Greedo shot first, and I put, oh no, he didn't. I mean, he didn't shoot first.
Right.
I mean, come on.
I'm like, how many times are we going to play with that? It's like crying out loud.
Well, they've added something else now, haven't they? McNulty or whatever it is he says.
Some more audio, yeah.
I don't get that. For me, the Jabba scene looked awkward and didn't add to the story, as it had already been said. That type of conversation had been said with Greedo. So Han had that conversation with Greedo.
Yep.
They should have just left it. They shouldn't have put that in.
That was left on the cutting room floor for a reason, and it didn't need to come back. In my
opinion. Originally he was going to be a human, wasn't he? Jabba was going to be a human.
Yeah, the way they shot that.
Yeah,
that deleted scene was with a human, and his big, he was burly with his like furry vest, and
Yeah.
then they
Yeah,
overlaid
I mean,
the
they-
Java
yeah.
thing. But like when he steps over his tail,
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
It was cringeworthy. It really was. I mean, it's
Oh.
a shame because I think it could have been so much better. I mean, there was one good point. The film looked a lot cleaner as it was restored, and the end battle looked better without the blocking. Because sometimes with the old special effects, when you get on like a more modern day high definition TV, you can still see the blocking.
yeah,
I think they did a good job with that, but I think that was it. I wasn't impressed with the special edition. So at the end of it, a good exciting film, which blew me away as a kid and still does to this day. You can never tire of watching Star Wars. It's a feel good movie, definitely.
it really
and
is.
I've given it 13.5 out of 15.
Nice.
So, but yeah, like I say, it is a feel good movie. And right, Empire Strikes Back. Over to you, sir. Oh, hang on. Sorry. It was written. The story was by George Lucas, directed by Irving Kershner, screenplay by Lee Brackett and Lawrence Kasdan, produced by Gary Kurtz, released May 6, 1980 at the Dominion Theatre in the UK. I don't know why it was just the Dominion Theatre. And then May the 21st, 1980 in the US. That's unusual because normally back in those days, the US had everything out before we got it in the UK. Fun facts. This was set 3 years after Star Wars A New Hope. A fine was given to the production for again having the opening crawl as it went against regulations. George Lucas paid everyone's fines and then left the Directors Guild due to being unhappy with that situation. Again, this will play more in Return of the Jedi. But story-wise, how do you rate that, and what are your thoughts on the story of Empire Strikes Back?
In my little ratings block, I gave it a 10. Oh wait, we can only do 5.
10 out of 5. Awesome.
Yeah, 10 out of 5. Again, you had me at Hoth. The fact that some time's passed, the rebels have become, stronger, more threatening, but yet they're still hiding. And now we're on this other planet of snow and ice, and it's like, oh yeah, I want more, and we got more. I mean, with
definitely,
the Tauntauns and the Wampas, snow speeders, the trenches, the hangar door shutting, because it's nightfall and we gotta shut it. Luke's out there. I mean, all that the control room in Hoth.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was just awesome, wasn't it?
It's so good. And then for the attack scenes, and then moving into Dagobah, again, another great locale that Yoda's in this just swampy mystery place. Like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
And then to basically finish out in Bespin, among the clouds. Good stuff.
So you scored it 5.
Yep.
Yeah. See, I'm with you. This is where my 5s come into play. I thought the story was deeper. It was darker. There was a good balance between, again, seriousness and humor. It wasn't over comedic.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent character growth. I mean, the characters, yeah. It was a lot of growth in the characters, and I thought again they were really strong. You had decent new characters added to the story with Lando, Yoda, and there's the best kept 4-line secret and most powerful 4 lines in a pivotal part of the film, which is "I am your father." I mean, that to keep that a secret,
right,
was it would be unheard of now. It would, with all the social media and everything like that, the spoilers, it would have been difficult to keep that a secret, and they did. And I just thought they'd done a wonderful story. It was just a fantastic. I mean, because sequels are normally not as good as the original film, but this one surpassed it, I think, in every way.
Yeah, agreed. It just took it to a whole other level. I remember sitting in the theater, and when he's like, I am your father. And it was like,
Yeah.
I'm like looking at my brother and my dad and my mom, like, what?
Yeah.
Like, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, definitely. I mean,
oh,
these. I mean, he made these movies for kids, and I thought The Empire Strikes Back was quite a dark movie, a dark story, and I would have been, pretty horrified as a kid to see him lop his arm off at that time. I mean, and Han getting tortured and stuff like that.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, watching him.
That's quite deep and dark for an 8-year-old kid, I think, or an even younger kid. But I mean, that's how it was in those days. We just watched it and just loved it and got caught up in it. Visual effects.
I'm giving it a 10 out of 5. I mean, a 5. Again, because the fact that they, traveled way up north to shoot a lot of these scenes in a snowstorm, in a blizzard, not on a sound. I mean, I love doing deep dives and digging into a lot of that behind the scenes footage and such that they've done, and that just cements it for me as just this pinnacle of effects, because it's like, you got to be kidding me. Like, not only was it cold, no, it was actually cold. It was actually, whiteout conditions, and they're like, okay, Luke, come on over the ridge in this scene, and fall down, and I'm like, holy cow.
Well, they said it was a risk. They said never work on real water, and not real water because you can't get pretend water, but I mean, never work out at sea. They did that with Jaws. And never work in like real snow, and they did that with Empire Strikes Back, and I think it paid off, definitely. I mean, visual effects, like you, I've given it 5. I thought it was bigger and better with the sets. I mean, they had more sets in Empire. The Bespin carbon freezing chamber looked absolutely stunning with the lighting and the mooding and stuff like that.
Oh my God.
The sounds, the music. It's just everything. I mean, yeah.
It's so cool, yet it scares the living crap out of you all at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Because you've seen what it's done to Han and what he wants to do to Luke, and how that battle, and you're like, the tension in that whole battle scene.
I just
goosebumps
the whole
just
thing was,
talking about it.
Yeah, it is. It's just one of those films that well, for me, I'm giving the game away here. For me, it's the best out of the saga, out of all of them, even the prequels and the sequels. By far, it was just. I mean, how they did the AT-ATs. I mean, they looked robotic at the way they walked, but I mean, that just looked perfect, because you would expect something like that to move like that. And that's all stop motion, and I applaud them for doing it. I mean, wow. So you've given that a 5. I've given that a 5. So that's full mark so far. Okay, the musical score.
Again, just I gotta go 5.
Yeah, likewise. Again, John Williams composing. Beautiful sounding personal themes. And when we had Yoda's theme, we had the love theme between Han and Leia. You had the asteroid theme. I mean, you just can't help but crank that up loud and listen to that. That's awesome. And then you had the Imperial March, which is, I just think that's a genius bit of music, and it is so powerful and so recognizable. There's
a reason why it never went away, because it just elicits an immediate emotional response out of you, like,
definitely. I mean, so that's top marks then. It's 15 out of 15 from both of us there, and I don't think that's ever going to get a film as good as that. Not for that time anyway. Everything, story, visual effects, score. Right, okay, Empire Strikes Back Special Edition. What are your thoughts on that?
Here we go. Back to my notes that I had earlier. So yeah, I liked the Emperor switching to the Palp that we knew. Again, the Bespin windows and all that, because that was just such a cool world. Like it's floating in the clouds, and it's so much better when they're in those hallway scenes to get glimpses outside. But like the Wampa, I didn't need to see the Wampa. I thought he was good in that scene. If it was, leave him somewhat mysterious. I realized that, when you see the actual Wampa that they were, the full suit that they were using and trying to shoot it, and you were like, yeah, that was a good call not to show that at all, with except an arm. But the whole like where he's crouched down and munching on, some tauntaun and Luke's, I honestly I don't think that adds a whole heck of a lot.
It did add to the story. I mean, again, like the Star Wars A New Hope, they cleaned up some effects, like the snowspeeder cockpit. Mm-hmm. I think there was some when in the original you could see through, so you could see the AT-AT's legs through the cockpit, so they sort of fixed that. I thought it was a better looking Wampa, I've got to say. The one they used, or they were going to use, didn't look great. The Emperor scene was improved, which was a good addition. I've got to say that. I think that I'm glad they did that. But the rest of the scenes, they weren't really needed. I mean, the flight into Bespin, did they really need to show how big that was? I don't think so. It didn't add anything. I mean, Vader's shuttle leaving Bespin and going back onto his Star Destroyer again. I don't see the point of that. And then the added windows in the corridors of Bespin, so where it used to be just a white background.
Yep.
And then they opened it up and made it look a lot. It didn't look good to me. For me, the money should have gone on cleaning up blocking in some of the space scenes, which I think that's what they should have done personally.
Interesting. How do you feel about Boba's voice being switched to Tomorrow Morrison's?
Controversial. I can see why they did. I can see why they did it to tie in with the prequels. I can see why they did it,
but it doesn't mean I have to like it. I like my Boba Fett already.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I can see why they did it, but
that soundbite's still stored away in here. And anytime I hear the new version, I'm like, nope.
See, I can't even remember what the old version sounded like now.
Oh yeah.
So I can't remember. I'm going to have to look on YouTube now to find that. Overall comments: a bigger, bolder production which paid off. Visually stunning, awesome score, and great additional characters that definitely added to the story. Lando definitely added to it. Yoda added to it. I just thought it was an all-round decent film.
It's very decent. My all-time fave. Not gonna lie.
Okay, moving on. Oh, sorry.
My toy collection reflects that.
Yeah. You got a lot of Hoth stuff, have you?
Oh yeah, I'm looking at the Hoth Dio over there right now. Yeah.
Awesome. Right, Return of the Jedi then. Story by George Lucas, directed by Richard Marquand, screenplay by Lawrence Kasdan and George Lucas, produced by Howard, I think it's pronounced Kazajan. Release date was May 25th, 1983 in the US and June 2nd, 1983 in the UK. Fun facts. George Lucas wanted Steven Spielberg as his first choice of director, but he wasn't allowed to do it as Spielberg was still part of the Directors Guild and George Lucas wasn't. Originally named Revenge of the Jedi, but changed a few days before release, set 1 year after Empire Strikes Back. So, what's your score for the story?
A 4.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Explain.
So, I think for as much as when I was a kid and seeing it, I think the fact that we waited those 3 years between 80 to 83 as a kid, you're getting kind of into my teen years. I think I started to drift slightly away from it, not far from Star Wars, but seeing that it was like, oh, they built another Death Star. Like, I think that it's cool that it was, at least they had it just under construction. It wasn't like fully built, fully operational. I think that it just doesn't resonate near with me like Empire does.
Yeah.
I enjoy the Ewoks to a small extent, and then to a bigger extent, I'm just kind of like, yub nub. I like the bunker scene. I like the Tiderian shuttle.
Mm.
You can actually,
I can see that over that side. Yeah. Awesome vehicle.
I mean, that is probably my all-time favorite scene that I can watch over and over is where they've got the stolen shuttle and they're infiltrating the moon. I just love that, seeing the Tiderian shuttle like that.
Awesome.
So good.
Awesome. So you've given the story a 4.
I give it a 4.
Okay. Well, I've gone 4.5.
Oh.
I don't think it was a bad story. I think for me, the loss of Gary Kurtz as producer, due to creative differences with Lucas, affected the story. As I understand it, Kurtz wanted to have a less happier ending. Harrison Ford wanted Han Solo to sacrifice himself, and Lawrence Kasdan wanted a main character killed off early doors as to keep the audience worried about the other main characters. George did not want this and got his own way. Yeah, I'm with that. I think they missed Gary Kurtz for that. He produced Empire. He was there for the original Star Wars, and I personally feel he should have been there in Return of the Jedi. I think his contribution was quite underrated. If I'm honest, they did miss him. Nothing against the other guy, Howard Kazajan, but I just think it would have been a better story if they had maybe like sacrificed Han Solo and they had how they wanted it to do. But I think it was because of monetary reasons. George Lucas wanted to keep him in it. Didn't want to kill him off because of toy sales, merchandise.
Imagine that.
Which is fair enough. It's all about the money, isn't it?
Knowing that little tidbit, I honestly wish that's how it would have went, because that's much, I don't know, in my adult/kid brain, it seems easier to take that Han dies in Return of the Jedi rather than what happens on down the road, that I'm just like, what are we doing? Yeah.
I mean, that was gutting, I've got to say. We'll get to that. But I think it would have been... I don't know. I think it would have definitely added to the story. It would have definitely given it a twist if he had, if they had like killed him off early in Jedi, Return of the Jedi. Because then, for me as a kid, I'd be thinking, wow, who's going to be next? And I think that's what they wanted. That's what a couple of them wanted. They wanted that kind of, well, no one's going to be safe. You know, what's going to happen to Luke? Is he going to turn? Is Vader going to get him? Is the Emperor going to get him? What's going to happen with Leia? You know, what's going to happen with Chewie? He's not going to be without. He's going to be without Han. All these questions, and you just think how different that could have been if that would have been the case. But you know, again, there was more character growth. I mean, Luke kind of grew, didn't he, with his character? And then you got more interesting characters. I mean, the Emperor, I thought Ian McDermott played that perfectly. I mean, I've got a lot of time for the guy. I thought he really played that part well, and it was good. So I've gone 4.5.
Nice.
Visual effects. What have you gone for that?
I would give that a 5 for visual.
A 5.
Effects.
Okay.
And again, I mean, the Death Star under construction and the way they had the Millennium Falcon going through the superstructure of that in the finale was cool. Obviously, the Endor location with the forest is just mind-boggling. The speeder bike chase, that's what I wanted to really get to. I mean, the speeder bike chase.
Yeah, I mean, that was just breathtaking, wasn't it? I mean, that was just fantastic.
So well done.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably one of the more dramatic moments that just perpetually sticks out to me, and why I can't say no to a speeder bike toy. You know, if I run into one, be it like Power of the Force or original, it's like.
Well, I mean, the Power of the Force one wasn't that bad. I mean, it was pretty decent. Was it the same mold as the original?
Mm-hmm.
so much. So yes, I mean there's nothing wrong with that. I mean I thought that was
Yep.
pretty good. So you've gone. Did you say 5 for effects?
I said 5 for effects.
I've gone 4.5. Or 4. No, I haven't. I've gone 4. No, I can't even move my own much. I've gone 4. I thought the half-built Death Star looked absolutely menacing. I thought it looked amazing. Jabba's palace and sail barge, loved that. I thought that looked great.
Yeah, I didn't even touch on that.
Yeah. I mean, well, you can go, but please carry on.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say the Rancor worked really well, considering that was a puppet and stop motion. That just looked absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
With you, the speeder bikes, I thought were absolutely mind blowing. How they filmed that and how they did that was just, and it was edge of your seat stuff. I mean, it's bad enough driving down the road with different cars and stuff like that, but when you, just amazing. I thought the ATSTs looked great, but personally for me, I thought they were let down a little bit by the CGI on some of the scenes, and the space battle looked good, but let down by one mistake. I can never unsee, and a couple of explosions. And that mistake was when the TIE fighters come flying in. You've got the Falcon, you've got the Death Star in the background, the Rebel ships are flying away. You've got the Falcon coming up, and you've got the TIE fighters, and they go underneath the Falcon, and they remain really, really small and just absolutely tiny. And I just can't unsee that. And every time I see it, I'm looking at that point, and I was like, oh no. But overall, overall 4.5. I mean, 4 out of 5. I think that's quite a strong score. Right, musical score.
I think I would go like a 4.
Okay.
Overall.
Yeah.
Going on the. I mean, I really liked the original Jabba Palace music that they're playing. They're playing on the sail barge. I like that kind of.
Yeah.
You know, it's the cantina funky, not the extended cut. What they did. No, thank you.
Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
But yeah.
I mean, that just it was a very otherworldly sound to it. I think that's what, like, as far as musicality sticks out to me.
Yeah. I mean, I've gone 4.5, definitely 4.5 on this one. I thought it was another great score, but you're just not. I don't think you're going to beat Empire Strikes Back. I don't think you're going to beat that. You're not going to beat that score. That's probably one of the best musical soundtracks. But I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, you had the Empress theme there. That was quite haunting. It's quite a haunting theme. I enjoyed that. You had Luke and Leia's theme, which again I thought was a nice piece of music. You had Jabba's theme, which you didn't really sort of hear too much of. But again, you can't really go wrong with John Williams, if I'm honest, in the original trilogy. Anyway, let's put it that way.
So true.
Special edition, Return of the Jedi Special Edition. This will be interesting.
Leave my Sarlacc pit alone.
I forgot about that.
I've
not put that in the notes. I've totally forgot about that.
Yeah, I do not like that with all.
No, yeah.
And it's like, it was menacing enough the way it was.
Yeah, definitely.
Of course, I'm also not down with, and I know he wanted it in there, but as Hayden as Vader Force Ghost at the end. And then that whole celebration song, like Yub Nub goes with, for as much as, even as a kid, I thought the Yub Nub was a little like crazy. Listening to that celebration song again, it really felt theme parkish.
Yeah.
To me. To my adult ears now.
Yeah. I agree with that. I mean, for me, Ula falling into the Rancor pit, I didn't mind that. I mean, because you see the gates come up and stuff like that, so you got the suspense there. So because you didn't see that in the original, did you? So that was good. Sice Nootle's new song and dance, looked absolutely bloody awful. I just think that wasn't needed. The herd of Banthas, I don't think that was needed. You know, when you see the sail barge coming across, and you got that. I mean, I just thought you didn't need that. Bantha. Thank you. I've been practicing. You didn't need that. The Sarlacc, I totally forgot about the Sarlacc. Oh, to me, I didn't mind that so much. I thought that was okay. You could get away with that. Vader's no at the end. Just why? That was just cringeworthy. It's no. It was more powerful without him saying that. That scene, I thought it was silence says a lot, you know, and I didn't agree with that.
That's a good point.
What else was there? What, people making points. Sorry, I mean, hi guys in the chat. We are reading them, and I'm putting some of the.
We got Mark Boba. We got Goji.
Yeah,
Chris.
Good to see you guys. Thank you very much for joining us. Like I said, once again, apologise for the technical issues. I've not sent another link out, so I don't know if anybody else is going to be joining us, unfortunately. So, but no mind, there will be another time. Yeah, the Ewok celebration. Didn't mind the tune, but thinking about it, it was pretty theme parky. But I don't think we needed the crowded scenes and Naboo, Tatooine, Bespin or Coruscant. I mean, I think they were sort of like pointing to what was going to come in the prequels with Coruscant and Naboo, but I don't think they should have done that. Hayden Christensen, with you, he should have never been the Force Ghost. That should have stayed with Sebastian Shaw, and I'm disappointed that they decided to do that. And for me, overall, again, I think the money should have gone on to cleaning up certain scenes like the space battle and on Endor, because there's a few dodgy CGI moments. I'm sure they could have fixed that with the blocking and other little bits on the planet. Also, Lucas wanted that scene with the Ewoks to be Wookiees. He wanted that to be Wookiees, but he couldn't because of the budget.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's what he originally planned. He wanted it to be. Yep, good Chewie. He wanted that to happen, but again, budget. I mean, overall, I thought it was a fun, entertaining, exciting film with strong character development. I personally wish Gary Kurtz would have stayed as producer. You know, George should have listened to him, really. I think it would have been a better story overall. But I mean, 13 out of 15. Yeah, it's not a bad score. I mean, what was so you've scored it total?
I had total. I think I was 13 out of 15.
13. Okay, well, it's the same. The same. Right. This is going to get interesting now. Head into the prequels.
All right, everybody, stretch.
There you go. Yep. All right. Okay. Phantom Menace Episode 1, written and directed by George Lucas, produced by Rick McCallum. Release date May 16th, 1999. That was LA in the US, and then May 19th, I think it was across the US generally. And in July 16th, 1999 in the UK. This was released 16 years after Return of the Jedi.
Hard to believe.
So, what was your take on the story? What would you rate that and why?
I gave it a 3.5.
Okay.
For story. I appreciated. I enjoyed the whole droid blockade or Trade Federation blockade of Naboo. I felt like the whole Gungan thing drug on too long. The whole like, oh, we're going to Tatooine. Huh. Imagine that. We're going to Tatooine. We gotta go to Tatooine.
Yeah. I mean, I thought that was awesome, the Tatooine, but some of it.
But there, yeah, like the pod. I totally love the pod racing scene. Watching that again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good stuff. But I feel like the whole Anakin as a kid and with his mom and just that, like how long are we hanging on here? Like I feel like we could have spent more time somewhere else developing the story rather than it's like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
You know, Annie's special. I get it.
Yeah.
And he's gonna win this race.
Yeah. Well, you knew that you kind of had an idea that was gonna happen. So you've gone 3.5, yeah, 3.5.
Yep.
I've gone 3.5 as well.
Interesting.
Overall, I thought the story was. It's hard to explain because as a kid, you don't want to see a trade federation or a blockade, or you don't want to get into politics and stuff. I mean, that would have probably bored the hell out of kids, especially the younger ones. For me, as an adult at the time watching it, I didn't mind it. I could see the story behind it. The story's got to start somewhere. There's always a start to a story, so that's why I've been quite generous, I think, with a 3.5. With you, I think they spent too long on Tatooine. Definitely. I mean, the pod race I enjoyed it. It was pretty good. Again, it reminded me of the speeder bikes going through Endor. I mean, Lucas liked his fast cars anyway. He loved that sort of stuff, hot rods and all that sort of stuff. And you get that from the film he did, American Graffiti.
Yep.
But I just wish to hell they would have never had Jar Jar Binks in it. I mean, I feel sorry for the guy who played him, Ahmed Best. I mean, I'm sure he's a nice guy. He took a lot of flack. But I just don't think the character suited the film. I really don't. It was too comedic in my eyes.
Yeah, it was way too over the top comedic. I mean, most of his scenes is him going, throwing his hands in the air.
Yeah. I think he kind of ruined it a bit. Really, in my opinion.
It felt forced.
Yeah. He was trying to be too funny. It was trying. I know he said he made them for kids, but even as a kid, I think I would have been a bit embarrassed by that. But, I mean, I know how I felt when I watched it in the theater. I was like, oh, geez, what is this? What the hell? You know. A lot of people said that Anakin was whingy and whiny. Well, he's a kid. He's going to be. You know, you tell me a kid that's not whingy and whiny. So I think he got unfairly treated for that. But I think the thing is, you look at Star Wars in 1977, and then even to an extent Return of the Jedi in 83, 16 years have passed between the films. A lot's changed. The way films are made, what people expect from films. I mean, he's wanted this as like a Saturday matinee, the whole story as a Saturday matinee. You can go watch it, just a good fun film. And again, there's cheesy dialogue. Now, the way they've done The Phantom Menace, there was a lot of cheesy dialogue in that as well. And I just think with it being 16 years after Return of the Jedi, I don't think the cheese worked so much. It's a different time, different way of making films. I think if you'd have made it a couple of years, maybe 3 years after Return of the Jedi, you could have got away with it. But 16 years later, films have changed. I mean, the CGI, we go into the visual effects, actually. Yep. I might as well, I just came enough to say. I've given it a 4 out of 5 because if it wasn't for Jurassic Park, you wouldn't have had The Phantom Menace. Because Jurassic Park was in 93, I think. And the visual effects there were groundbreaking, absolutely stunning. The CGI. And again, that's another one of those films that have changed the way movies are made. So George Lucas wanted to wait until the technology was there to go back and create his story. I think throughout the whole of the prequel trilogy, I think it was too over reliant on CGI.
It was exceptionally heavy.
Yeah.
I feel like all the Naboo scenes, you're just like, your brain's immediately like, not a real place. That's all computer. I mean, I don't care how many waterfalls and ledges you put into it. It doesn't sell it.
It doesn't. I mean, the battle droids. I mean, they look great. But they sounded awful. I mean, why give them that stupid whiny voice? I'm not a hater. I'm not a hater, but just little things like that really annoyed me. I just thought they could have done so much better.
You know what? For as much as they pushed Jar Jar to be comedic relief, really, the droids were much better. I mean, they're like, you go in, I'm not going in there. Blast them. I mean, all these little moments that were funny.
They were funny, but again, I think with the original trilogy, there was a good balance between the seriousness and the subtle humor, and it was subtle humor. It wasn't in your face. I felt with the Phantom Menace, the humor was too much in your face. With Jar Jar, it was just clumsy. I mean, we had a little inkling of that in Return of the Jedi when Wicket had his little rock on a stick sort of thing, and it wrapped around his neck. I think that was the only bit that really sort of like was a comedic bit in that. But Jar Jar went too far, and I thought the droids. But Darth Maul, Darth Maul, wow. That double-bladed lightsaber, when that lit up, I was like, wow, okay, that is just, okay, this film's all good now.
Right? That just...
Awesome.
Double lightsaber, his appearance with the horns and his face, the tattooing or whatever, you know.
Shout out to Mark Shabby Geek. Hello, mate.
Hey!
Thank you for joining.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get it. That Duel of Fate song, I mean, and him just, you know, they are married together in a most awesome way. Gosh, I mean, just the contact lenses that they did for his eyes, you know, when they did close-ups on his eyes, and you're like, oh, son of a, you know.
Yeah, the eyes, the teeth. I mean, he just looked, he was just an awesome, absolute awesome character. Qui-Gon Jinn, not too sure really, because this is where the kind of story sort of like starts, like loopholes and stuff like that. Empire Strikes Back, you had Obi-Wan saying on Hoth, you know, to Luke, go to Yoda, the Jedi Master who instructed me. Well, he didn't instruct him, did he? That was Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon instructed him, and then so there was like, you know, I don't get that, but I feel it would have been better if it was just Obi-Wan and not Qui-Gon, and then Yoda be his master. But that's my take.
Interesting. I enjoyed both Qui-Gon and Obi. That opening scene where they're on the Trade Federation control ship, you know, and they're gonna negotiate. It's one of my favorite scenes of the movie. It's also one of my favorite scenes when our kiddo and I played Lego Star Wars. Like, that's the opening level, you know. And we worked really hard back in the day on our lightsaber skills to play that level. But yeah, I like Qui-Gon. I like a little.
I'm not saying I didn't. Yeah, I'm not saying I didn't like him. I just felt if he wasn't in the film, it wouldn't have been an issue. Because I was expecting to have Yoda instruct Kenobi like he said in the Empire. Right, moving on to the musical score.
I give the music. I get a 4.
Okay. Yep. I likewise. I thought there was some decent scores in there. Did some decent music. Duel of Fates being the standout. That did take some getting used to. I have to say, I had to listen to it 3 or 4 times before I was actually thinking, yeah, this is quite okay. This is brilliant.
Yeah,
this is brilliant.
It is brilliant.
Yeah. And when the choir kicks in as well, it just crescendos.
Yes.
It's just awesome.
That's the one song that I feel the choir was very appropriate, and then where they started to overuse it in other movies.
Yeah. Again, I thought the Trade Federation theme wasn't too bad. That quite militaristic sort of theme. I didn't mind that. I mean, the thing is, we were so used to having the music from Empire, Jedi, the original Star Wars, and then a whole new scores had to be thought up of and stuff like that. So it took some getting used to, but I thoroughly enjoy it. But I mean, my total overall score for Phantom Menace was 11.5 out of 15. So, you know, it's not too bad. Next one's going to be interesting. Attack of the Clones. Okay, so story by George Lucas, directed by George Lucas, screenplay by George Lucas, Jonathan Hales, produced by Rick McCallum. Release date was the 12th of May 2002. That was at the Tribeca Film Festival. And then I think it was a worldwide release on May 16th, 2002. I could be wrong with that. Fun fact, the story is set 10 years after The Phantom Menace. So I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on the story, visual effects, and the musical score for this one.
Story-wise, I should say overall, I give it a 4. I enjoyed the story even more than Phantom Menace. And I mean, the standouts to me were, I remember watching this and all of a sudden, we're on Camino and there's the clones getting their stormtrooper armor.
Yeah.
I mean, they're clone troopers now, but I mean, obviously you see how that's going to morph in the coming years into stormtrooper armor. But I remember looking to Leslie and I'm like, that's where stormtroopers came from. Oh my gosh. Like that just stuck with me. Overall, I love Camino. Maybe it's because it's a water planet. But I like that it wasn't like bright and sunny. It was gloomy. It was rainy.
Yeah.
And here's these like really cool facilities that are just, floating on top of this just ocean that's in constant ferocity, and I like the Caminoans. I like Jango Fett and learning, like little Boba. I quite enjoyed that. Gosh, Christopher Lee. I love him in this, in the Geonosis battle. I thought was just epic as well, both in the arena and post arena. When Yoda comes in with the clone army.
Yep. So
That's
that was so you gave that. Did you say a 4?
I gave it a 4.
4. Okay, so for me, I gave the story a 3. There was lots good about the film, but there was also lots that weren't too great about the film. I did really enjoy this. I do. I look kind of pained because it was.
You look tortured.
Mate, I was watching it. I'll tell you. To me, it was more like a chick flick with the love story between Anakin and Padme. I mean, obviously, it had to happen. It had to be in there. But I just thought the pacing was kind of slow. I think it was too long. Christopher Lee's character, again, did we need him? I would have preferred it if Darth Maul would have stayed as the main protagonist. They killed him off, I think, too quickly. They didn't, did they? Because they brought him back. But I think they should have left him as the main protagonist and had him in episode 2.
That would have been very interesting. Yeah, I
think they should have done, but
Qui-Gon died, but somehow Maul escaped. I could see that.
Yeah. We'll get onto the visual effects in a minute. I'd give the story a 3. Really, I think it was quite slow paced. Too much time spent with those two drooling over each other, sort of thing. Or won't they? Well, obviously they do, but
you're not wrong, because I mean, you look at my scene notes, and nowhere am I like, oh, the love story between Padme.
Yeah.
It's like, nope, it's not in there. I think I block it out.
Well, mate, that was to come, unfortunately. Visual effects. What have you gone for visual effects?
Visual effects, I give it a 4.
Wow.
I'll say why. I like seeing the clone tech, and again, where you're getting nods to what that walker is going to be in Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. I like seeing that technology in a more, less refined state. I really enjoyed seeing that and picking that out, and I still do it when I watch this on occasion. Obviously, not in heavy rotation. Original trilogy is the one that gets all the time, but I will watch Attack of the Clones, but I find myself gravitating towards these nods of technology were
Yeah.
looking at gunships or walkers or what, and kind of like, okay, that's going to end up being this in Empire. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I enjoy that. I thought the Geonosians were a little, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
is insects. The Foundry episode, I made a note that felt very video game-ish to me. Where Padme's on the assembly line and it's like escape this,
Yeah.
and then it's smash, and then
Yeah.
not,
I'm certain I'm with you on that one. I mean, I'm surprised you've gone for 4 really for visual effects. I've gone for 3 simply because this film was too over reliant on CGI. All the clone troopers were CGI. That's what I loved about Star Wars, the original trilogy, and to a certain extent the sequels. You had people in costume, in proper armor as stormtroopers. I mean, there were some matte paintings in certain areas, you could see that,
sure.
But for the most part, you had people in costume. There wasn't one clone trooper in a costume. It was all CGI. You had Jango Fett, who I thought was a good character. Again, they killed him off too soon for my liking. I mean, there were scenes when he was in a costume, but then there were scenes when he was actually CGI as well.
Mm-hmm.
The Geonosian scene.
You saying heads are going to roll?
Very good.
I get
The Geonosian scene where 3PO is on going through the droid factory. I used to like 3PO, but for some reason they turned him into a complete dick in these films. They really did. I mean, there's little puns. I'm beside myself. Oh, I'm losing my head. It's just you don't need it. I understand it's for kids, but he was never like that in A New Hope or Empire. He had some one-liners, but it wasn't in your face. We could have done without that scene where he's flying around in the droid factory and he gets a battle droid head on him. It just, oh god.
Yeah, the fact that he shows up in the arena and fights like that, and it's like, oh, what are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, Gojitron. I mean, you hit the nail on the head there, mate. I mean, it's just.
The romance not believable.
No, it wasn't. It was a hard watch. It was a hard watch, and I think it was one of the only sort of at the time Star Wars films that I come out at the theatre thinking, kind of disappointed with that. Yoda scene where he's fighting. I mean, I know how he feels. I mean, I get up and play football every now and again, and I walk around like a little old man afterwards, so I can understand he must have put himself out a bit there. But again, it just didn't look believable, like a little green man flying around all over the place and making these noises with the lightsaber. I wish I'd have not put that in. Let's move on to the score, the musical score.
Oh, wait, before we leave visual effects, what about rocket-propelled R2? I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, that was clever. That was clever because you did wonder how he got down the steps in Jabba's palace in Jedi.
Yeah, there's so many spots where you're like, you can't get.
How did he do that? How did he do that? But you don't think about it at the time, and then you see him with the jets, and you think, and then you think, right. But you never saw him you didn't see him in the original series. So I just wish. So for me, I think they should have kept R2 true to how he was in the original trilogy. You didn't see any of these little gadgets come out his legs and flying about. He had the bits like the sensor scope and the lightsaber and the periscope or whatever it was, and the little bits coming out of him, his arms. Yeah, that's fine. But they just seemed to added parts that you hadn't seen in the original trilogy into the prequels. And you think, well, then why didn't they do that in the original trilogy? I just wish they would have kept that storyline and the character.
I'm sure they know that, R2 is a most beloved, character. And so,
so you can get away with it, Kenny.
We can get away with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like R2 freaking D2, Anyway.
Yeah.
The score.
Musical score. Yeah.
I give it a 3 just because I feel like it's a lot of Phantom Menace type-esque score kind of recycled. I'm like, the choir's back for more. Why?
Yeah, I've gone through as well. For me, it wasn't the best. I mean, I love John Williams. I think he's a genius for what he does, but I just there wasn't anything new in it for me, and that I enjoyed. The Camino music, I didn't really enjoy that. The music when that was
it was haunting.
In the battles, it was, yeah, it was,
but it wasn't like it just absolutely grabbed you.
No, so my total score for Attack of the Clones was 9 out of 15.
Ooh.
So, Right, moving on then. Revenge of the Sith. Written and directed by George Lucas. Again, produced by Rick McCallum. Release date May 15th, 2005 at the Cannes Film Festival. And then May 19th, 2005 worldwide, I believe. And the fun fact for this one is it was set 3 years after Attack of the Clones. So story-wise, where have you gone with this and why?
One of my first remarks, because I just rewatched it. This is probably the one that I don't watch. Like its original trilogy, and then Phantom Menace, Attack of Clones, and then I kind of don't watch Revenge of the Sith. So I rewatched this the other day.
Yeah.
And it took me back to thinking when I saw it in the movie theater, I didn't know what the hell was going on. I'm like, where are we? Why are we above Crows? Who's General Grievous? Somebody? Hello? I mean, I just felt very confused originally when I viewed it for the first time as to what was going on.
Yeah.
But I also, so that's kind of just a mild negative, just being my own confusion. But I also liked that huge battle scene that we open up with, because it felt very like World War II battleship battles, where they're broadside and just pow, 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 just pounding on each other. I like that that feel to it. And then here's Annie and Obi, zooming around in and out of this just utter mayhem that's above Coruscant,
I'm with you. I thought that scene was pretty decent. I got to say I like that opening. That was quite a good opening, because with the original trilogy, going back to that, it's very much like every opening scene, there's a Star Destroyer. It did feel weird not seeing the Star Destroyers in the opening scenes, but this I think this was the best opening, I think, of the film, without a doubt. Sorry, I'm just texting my good wife.
Aha. Overall, though, I'm like, I get so tired of the Jedi Council being clouded, and we must meditate on this to figure out. And you're like, oh, come on, come on.
The dark side of the Force clouds everything, doesn't it? So, what a great frigging cop out that is. What a great excuse.
Right,
dark side is dark side, but who is it? I don't know. It's clouded. Can't see.
Yeah, Palpatine, and all he does is just put a hood up. Like, we can't figure out it's him. I have no idea.
Well, it fooled me. No, I mean, so you've gone for what for the story? Sorry, you went for.
I said 3 overall.
3. I'd given it a generous 4, if I'm honest. I didn't think the story was too bad. There's good character progression, mainly with Annie or Anakin. Again, could they have done with did they need who is it? General Grievous? Did they need him really? I mean, I would have preferred it if it had been a Sarge Ventress, really.
Oh, interesting.
But no. That wouldn't have happened, would it? Because she was in Clone Wars, the animated series, and she left Dooku, didn't she? So that wouldn't have worked. So I'm talking out my buttocks there for that. But yeah, it wasn't a bad story.
I liked Grievous as a character, but I was just like, who is he? I don't know. He, like, all of a sudden he's like this super important guy, and I'm like, how did we get here?
Yeah, but then you've got to go into the Clone Wars, haven't you, and watch the episodes of the Clone Wars to find
when
out.
you watch
then
all that, you're like,
you understand it. Yeah. I think I preferred him in the Clone Wars, but again, for me, too much CGI. I thought Anakin turned to the dark side too quick. It was too quick. It was. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I see in my head, what I'd have liked to have seen is Darth Maul in episode 2 take on Anakin, right? Darth Maul injured or kills Padme, right? You have the kids.
Oh.
You have the kids in episode 2, Luke and Leia. You have Anakin fight Darth Maul, defeat him. Out of rage, he then is seduced and becomes Palpatine's new apprentice. So he's practically turned to Vader at the end of episode 2. Episode 3 is where he's out hunting for the rest of the Jedi.
Oh, I like it. You're getting crazy. I like it.
See, that would have been my headcanon.
I certainly feel like we wasted a whole lot of time on the whole. I'm pregnant. What are we gonna do?
Oh God,
I love you. I love you more. Your love blinds me.
Her character. There was no progression in her character at all. I don't think in that third film.
It felt very stymied.
Yeah,
and then Obi-Wan breaking the news that no, he just killed all the younglings at the Jedi Temple.
Not Anakin.
Oh
gosh. Yeah.
And it's wake up and smell the hummus.
Yeah, they did turn her into a bit of a drip, didn't they? To be honest with you, in that film. Visual effects.
I would say a 3, just because now I am feeling very CGI tired.
Yeah. I would have gone for a 3. I mean, the opening scene I thought was really good, really good. But again, there's some proper cheesy lines in it, and I think that sort of ruined it for me, really. Some of the cheesy lines, but Grievous, I thought it was clever how they did Grievous.
Oh, I thought that was very well done.
How they done him when he was coming off that ship and that ramp was coming out and he's walking down that. I thought that was really good. Again, it's just his voice and his constant coughing. I mean, it's like he'd been smoking 10 packs of bloody Marlboro. Do you know what I mean? It's yeah.
One of my notes I have, for as much as I wanted to like Kashyyyk because it's the Wookiee home planet, I just felt CGI. It just didn't really sell it.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted that to be better. I wanted that battle to be maybe a little more, because it is Wookiees and we have this love with Chewbacca. It's like, could we have spent a little more time and made that something more?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm disappointed that they had Chewbacca. I mean, he didn't need to be in it, but I expected more from that battle, definitely. And I'm glad that he didn't have the money to do that in Return of the Jedi. And then we had the Ewoks. I mean, as painful as they were at the time, I mean, it's not too bad. But again, it didn't look real. It was nothing realistic about that sequel trilogy at all. And it's a shame. And I can understand that he wanted to make it bigger. He wanted to make it better. He wanted to make it look more exotic. But I think with that, he's lost the realism of it. It just looked false. I mean, I like watching the Clone Wars. I mean, how they've done that, the animated series and stuff like that. But then that's a cartoon. You can accept it. The prequels look very cartoony in certain aspects and certain parts of it. And and you can tell, there's nothing like working with a real set, is there?
It pulls you back out of the story that you're trying to be invested in. Yeah. Because your brain's like,
Definitely. So my final score was 11 out of 15. So, I don't hate the prequels. I'd watch them again, but I just sometimes think in my head, you could have done this, George. You could have done that. But he's George Lucas. He can do the hell he wants. So
this is true.
This is now where it's going to get interesting. The much loved sequels. So we've got The Force Awakens, Episode 7, written by Lawrence Kasdan and J.J. Abrams and Michael, is that Arndt, I think. Produced by Kathleen Kennedy, J.J. Abrams, and Brian Burke. Release dates December 14th, 2015 in LA. And then I think the rest of the US was December 18th, 2015. And then December 17th, 2015 in the UK. Fun fact, released 10 years after Return of... No. Was it? Oh, yeah, The Revenge of the Sith. And set 30 years after the Galactic Civil War. Now, I just want to point out that this had 3 producers and 3 writers. This film.
Lots of fingers in the pot.
Exactly. And for me, it's too many fingers in the pot, because I think as we get to it overall, it's a bit of a yeah. So we're going to the story. What have you given the story?
I give it a 3.5. I finally broke out a half point.
Okay. Yeah. Why is that?
Awakens. I think we were talking about this the other day, but so our kiddos around this age, like, this is starting to be like what she knows as her Star Wars.
Yeah.
Call it her gateway Star Wars drug, if you will. I can't fault it too much because of getting to experience this with her on a cognitive scale. You know, she's old enough to appreciate Star Wars and liking the characters and whatnot. And I'm like, oh, well, if you like, you know, Chewbacca and Princess Leia, might I interest you, you know, in Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and, you know, here's this 10-year-old. What are these movies you speak of? And I'm like, we finally got into this, you know, part in life as a dad. And I'm like, let me share viewing with you. These are really good. And, you know, it's like, yeah, they are. So that's why I think overall I can't fault this too bad, because it was that pull, at least in our house. Overall, I liked Finn, I liked Rey, I liked Poe in this. The leftovers of the Jakku battle, so you're seeing, you know, what happened to those Star Destroyers, and here she's scavenging parts just to get some food. I quite enjoyed Masquerade and the bar scene a lot. You know, kind of a good harken back to the cantina, but it wasn't just this total rip off of the cantina. You know, they kind of had like a reggae-ish galactic sound, and then a bunch of funky aliens that I enjoyed. Obviously, here comes Han and Chewie. You know, we're back. I quite enjoyed that. Star Killer base seemed plausible to me. That, you know, hey, we've tried these smaller Death Stars and they didn't work out so well. Let's just hollow out a freaking planet. Eh?
Yeah.
You know, like, let's just make it bigger, badder, horrible. I'm really getting, now we're getting into Kylo Ren and Rey and that's where I start to go, oh, man.
Yeah.
The fact that Kylo's, you know, Han's son and Luke was training him, and I'm like, and now you're starting to lose me. Obviously, the way Han goes out, I'm like, oh, for crying out loud.
You could see it coming. Couldn't you? Everything, the way it was set, you could see what was going to happen and how it was going to happen.
And it's right in the middle of the. I mean, it totally killed like the attack scene, as we know, like with Star Wars and Return of the Jedi, of these attack runs and whatnot, battle scenes. I mean, if we're going to play to that, you know, ABCD formula, it's like, oh, and now we're suddenly breaking for a moment from son and his dad as he throws him off on a, you know,
Well, I mean, for me, I've given it a 3 out of 5. For the simple reason being, I was super excited for it to come out. I couldn't wait for it to come out. Really excited. And then it was just like a modern day version of Star Wars, A New Hope.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much all the way through. You've got Luke, you've got Rey. They're similar. They live on a desert planet. They become a Jedi, or they got like force powers. You've got the Starkiller base, Death Star. Yeah, for me, I think with too many writers, I think it was just a rehash of Star Wars. Visual effects wise, I like the way they've gone back to the old way of doing things, as in like they had proper sets, they had guys in costumes as the stormtroopers. I mean, I thought the stormtroopers looked pretty decent.
Oh, yeah, the First Order troopers.
Yeah, they look decent. Captain Phasma looked decent. Yeah. But what an unused. She looked great, but they didn't use her to her full potential.
Mm-mm.
You know, I just thought, wow, you know.
Yeah, that was that to me was a big mistake not to develop.
Yeah, definitely. Rey, Finn, and Poe, you've got to give them a chance. It's the first film, so you've got to give them that chance to get the character development, and that's not going to happen in one film. That needs to happen over a series of films.
Yeah,
or like a progression. I don't know. I just like you with Han. You knew it was going to happen. It was the only way Harrison Ford was going to ever come back and do it. We know that you wanted to kill him off in Return of the Jedi. That didn't happen. You want me back in it? You kill me off. Right, brilliant. Okay, they've done that. What I did like about that scene, and I don't know if you noticed, but where the sun, you know, they were draining the energy from the sun to charge the weapon up. That was shining down on them when they were talking. And then all of a sudden, the sun sort of like disappears and goes dark because it's died. And then the whole light goes and just goes black, and you've got that eerie red black scene. And that's when it changes, and that's when you think, here it comes. And then
I'm going to have to rewatch that.
Can you help me, or I'll do anything to help you?
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. And you knew it was going to happen, and it was just like, yeah, okay. It was gutting. I mean, but you know, I was quite upset by that because I liked him, but then at the end, when Leia went and hugged Rey, she just totally ignored Chewie. I mean, she's known Chewie for how long? And then this girl that she's never ever seen before, or she doesn't know, and she's going, "Oh, come here. Well, don't worry about it. It's all right." And Chewie's just like and walks past. You know, what was that about? And even J.J. Abrams has admitted that he made a mistake with that, and he should have had her and Chewie
consoling
Chewie. Yeah. And then 3PO with the red arm again. What was the point? You know, no story in that at all.
He even said, "I bet you don't recognize me because I have my red arm," and it's like, shut up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they've just turned him into a dick. But you were going to say about Rey. Sorry,
I'm trying.
About when she was at the end with Leia.
Oh, the fact that she was treating her like, you know, this whole. I mean, they were obviously made multiple advances that. Oh, Han was very much like a father figure to her, and I'm like, wow, that happened really, really quick, and Leia's like right there to be like, oh yeah, so you lost like your dad. I see it, you know, and I'm like, shouldn't it be the other way around? Like, that's Leia's love, you know. It should be kind of like Rey going the other way, and like you said, Chewbacca. I'm like, it was giving her character way too much.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. It's just, it is what it is. So no, hang on. What are we talking about here? Where are we? Oh, Phantom, Force Awakens. Yeah, so I've given that a 3 for story. Visual effects.
Visual effects, I'd give it a 4, just simply because,
agree with
again,
you. Yeah.
I felt there was a much better balance between like sets and locations and CGI. That it was way more plausible. It didn't pull my brain out of enjoying that movie and going, no, that's not real. That's like I was able to buy in.
Sorry, Pete. Gojitron's just made a cracking point. J.J. Abrams had Mark, Carrie, and Harrison for one last movie and did not put them together. Unforgivable. You've hit the nail on the head, mate.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the fact that Luke was on some far-off flung, that whole story point, I find really annoying.
Yeah. That was disappointing, you know. I mean, he never had any words. He just looked, you know, that look on his face, and we all know what happens after that. We'll get to that in a minute. But, yeah, so you've gone 4 for visual effects.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, likewise. I've gone 4. They've gone back to using sets and actual costumes for the troopers. I much prefer that.
I really like seeing inside the Star Destroyers. And now I'm going to go a little Galaxy's Edge, Batuu, Disney. Having we went there for the first time to Batuu in August of 2021, and the ride broke down while we were waiting in the queue, and they actually allowed, if you wanted to, stay inside on the hangar deck of the Star Destroyer, and we were there for like, of course, it's like 90 degrees outside, so we're like, we'll stay in here where it's nice and cool.
Yeah,
thanks. And then when it starts up, we'll be, you know, because they were like, it'll be a little while. We can't say what. Anyway, the fact we got to marinate in that hangar deck with the giant life-size TIE fighter and the big force field looking out into space and seeing, you know, ships pass, and then this battalion of first order troopers that, you know, some were moving and all that, and then they still were playing the theme music behind it. That I quite enjoyed. You know, love it or hate it, I'm like, that was really well done, and I think it gives me an even greater appreciation to those scenes that we get in The Force Awakens, where they're showing us more of the first order hallways and corridors and what's going on inside the ship.
No, I agree. I've gone 4 for that. I did like the visual effects, I've got to say. Musical score?
On this one, I give it 3.5.
Okay, yeah, I've given it a 3. Again, it's just getting used to the different score for the new films.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the First Order theme wasn't too bad. I didn't mind that. Rey's theme was pretty good. Didn't mind that either. But a 3, so yeah, it's not too bad. Right, this one's going to be interesting. The Last Jedi, Episode 8, written and directed by Rian Johnson, produced by Kathleen Kennedy and Ram Bergman. Release date December 9th, 2017. This was a Shrine Auditorium. I think I don't know where that is. I think it's got to be in the US somewhere. Then I think it was general release in the US on December 15th, 2017, and December 14th, 2017 in the UK. Right. What are your thoughts? Story, visual effects, and musical score for this one.
Okay, so for Last Jedi, and then in parentheses, I have also known as The Force Runs Out of Gas.
Yeah.
My score, I swear.
Sorry, Chris Meanwhile, thanks for watching, mate. Appreciate that. Really awesome. Good of you to join us. So,
cheers,
yeah,
Chris.
hopefully we'll speak to you soon, buddy. Thank you very much, man. Appreciate it.
Super late in the Netherlands.
It is.
I honestly, I give this one a -5. If I can give the other episodes 10, I absolutely can't stand this.
No. Well, I've gone for. Well, my score looks great. Then I've gone for a 2 for story. What the? I mean, it was a cluster. It really was just. You've got the film set up from the Last Jedi, not the Last Jedi, the Force Awakens, and then he's just curveballed it, and he's just gone totally left field. No one saw that coming. Again, it was one of those films I was excited for, and I think the problem is with his high expectations. I mean, as kids, we had the original trilogy. Every one of those films was really good, and they were fantastic films. And the excitement was there, and we had every right to say, yeah, these are great films. We had the prequels come along, and again, they weren't really to our taste with certain aspects of the films, but people have mentioned it. The sequels are making the prequels look good, really good. I mean, what was he thinking?
I literally remember walking out of the theater and thinking, what the heck did I just watch?
Yeah. This is the most disappointed I've been for watching a Star Wars movie. I mean, people were saying that The Force Awakens was too much like Star Wars. It was too much like the original Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were saying this is nothing like Star Wars. I mean, they're saying Luke would never have done what he did. I mean, I've got to agree with them. I can't get my head around it.
On my note, I'm like, the Kylo temper tantrums, space walrus milk, for Luke.
Yeah.
I'm like, the whole hyperspace tracking. So we're just gonna spend I don't know a good hour of the plot.
There was
right
no
behind
story.
you. You can't get away from us. Waiting for them to run out of fuel. That whole Leia. When Kylo blows the bridge.
God. Oh,
and Leia goes
I
into
forgot about
space, and I'm like,
I forgot about that.
Oh gosh, this is so cringy.
It's all coming back to me now, Pete. I mean, there's just no story. Like you say, the whole of the film is just being chased by, chasing through space. And then you get Rose again. I don't condone what happened to her. Yeah, I mean, she got so much grief. I mean, she didn't deserve that. She's an actor doing a job. That was her job.
That's just bad writing.
It's like someone coming up to you and cussing you and saying that you're doing a crap job at the job that you're doing. It is bad writing. So I totally blame the guys who wrote this. I mean, there's 3 of them. Why do you need 3 people to write it? I don't understand. So that whole storyline with her and Finn, there wasn't any character development, I don't think, for Poe, and there wasn't any for Finn either. I mean, they had a lot of screen time, but there was no character development, and that lacked.
That's Finn. I'm glad you touched on that. Finn is definitely a character coming out of The Force Awakens that I'm like, give me more.
Yeah.
I want to know, he's got some skills and there's something going on with it, and we just didn't get it. It was like more fast food Finn,
Yeah, definitely.
Let's send him to Canto Bight.
I mean, that whole scene was just horrendous, and they deleted scenes out of that scene, so that scene could have been longer. You don't want that to be longer. It's the worst movie out of the whole lot, out of the whole trilogy. It really is, and it's such a shame because it had so much potential. It really did. And then what they've done with this, it's made it difficult to follow on. They've got to pick up the pieces of this and try and make something else. And I think that's...
Yeah.
Look, listen.
It's like, ugh.
The way I see it, you had Star Wars, the original trilogy. It was written by one person. He had the whole story lined out before he even started making the films. Bish, bash, bosh, there you go. Right? You had different directors. That was understandable because of the strain and the stress that he was under like with the original Star Wars. You had Irving Kershner. What a great director. He did a fantastic job. You had Richard Marquand. Okay, he did a good job. He did a good job. And then you had Gary Kurtz that produced 2 of them. We know he wasn't in the 3rd one. And then you kept everybody close to base again in the prequels. You had George Lucas writing and directing. You had Rick McCallum producing. Yeah. Yep. You don't need. I mean, they had the whole stories planned out. All 3 films. The storyline was there. Yeah. It was all planned out. All 3 films, you had different writers, different producers for all the different films, and it was just there was no thought or consideration or. It's frustrating. So on The Last Jedi, I gave it 8 out of 15. You can't really say too much about that. Right, finally then, The Rise of Skywalker. Story by Derek Connolly, Colin Trevorrow, J.J. Abrams, and Chris Terrero. Again, you got 4 people involved.
Lots
I know
of
Colin Trevorrow.
cooks.
Yeah, Colin Trevorrow was originally going to direct it, but then creative differences, he was out the door. Produced by Kathleen Kennedy, J.J. Abrams, and Michelle Rejwan, I think that's pronounced. Release date December 16th, 2019, the Dolby Theatre, and then it was released. That was in LA, Hollywood, and then I think it's December 20th, 2019 for the US, December 19th, 2019 for the UK. Again, story, visuals, and the musical score. What do you think? What's your thoughts?
Story, I give it like a 2.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to begin.
It's difficult, isn't it?
It really is
difficult
because it's just. They were trying to tie all this craziness from the previous to make some sort of a finish, like so we can put this to bed.
Yeah.
And I'm like the whole Palpatine, and he's a clone. He's in the nether regions in Exegol. Colonel Huck's a spy. I like that part.
Oh God! See, I forgot about his character in the first 2 films. We've not even mentioned him. This is the first time you've mentioned him.
I'm like, Space Horse. I have one of my notes. Space horses on a Star Destroyer. Like, for crying out loud. Charging across the deck. Just dumb. And then one of my final notes was I liked Force Luke better than the actual character Luke.
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. It's not one that I think I've watched this all of 2 times. Theater, and then for to refresh my memory for this.
Yeah,
that's the only times.
I've given the story a 2.5. I think that's quite generous considering. I've got to say, I was excited to see Palpatine back. I have to say, I was. I just wish they would have thought about this properly, written the story out properly, all 3 films, because he could have been a pivotal part in the first 2 movies, without a doubt. He had Snoke. We didn't even mention him.
Yeah.
What? I'm sure this is all going to get explained in upcoming media, because I think they touched on cloning a bit in the book of Mandalorian, didn't they? Season 2.
Mandalorian, they did. Yep.
So you shouldn't have to retcon stuff and go back into different areas of Star Wars to make the 3 films make sense. My God. And do you know the person I blame for this is Kathleen Kennedy? I blame her. She's done a lot of great stuff. She's been involved in the Indiana Jones movies. She's not daft, but wow, what? Oh, Jesus. Yeah, so 2.5 for the story. It didn't make sense. I felt sorry for J.J. Abrams in a way because he had to pick up where the other shower shit left off.
Yeah, he's cleaning up the mess.
He is.
Trying to.
But the Space Horses, didn't enjoy it. the bit where they're in the quicksand or whatever it was. Oh, Ray, I need to tell you, I never told you. Well, told you what? We didn't even find that out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's more Finn that just got nope.
Yeah, swept under the carpet. It's like Maz Kanata in Force Awakens. Oh, where'd you get that from? Oh, this is another story. But that was never explained. How did she get Luke's lightsaber?
Right, yeah. Save for another time.
Exactly. Well, that was never explained.
About now.
Yeah, that was never explained. I think, personally, she was a complete... Didn't need her in it. For me, she was a waste of a character, Maz Kanata. But yeah, I just... Again, come out of it feeling disappointed. What goes on between Rey and Kylo, I think those 2 were the only real characters that ever got any proper sort of development. Finn was non-existent in this film. He didn't really have a big part. Poe he didn't either. As for General Hux becoming a spy, what, where, when did that happen? How did that happen? I thought he was decent in the first movie. He was become a joke in the second one, and he was just killed off in the third one. You know, yep. General Pride, I liked him. I thought his character had proper authority.
Yeah, he had some teeth.
He did, and he should have been in the first 3 movies or the first 2. But yeah, moving on, visual effects, because we've been on nearly 2 hours now, so we wrap this up pretty quick.
Wrap it up.
So visual effects.
Visual effects, I have a 3.
Okay, yeah, I've gone 3 for visual effects.
I was feeling like way more CGI heavy on this baby, because now we've got to create Exegol and
see why did they not go? Why didn't they go back to Coruscant? Why did they not go back to Coruscant? That would have been awesome. Go back there. That's where I don't get that. Yeah, I've gone 3 for visual effects. I like the Death Star. I liked going through the Death Star, seeing the old throne room. I thought that was pretty.
That was back on the indoor moon. That was way cool. I think that's probably hands down one of the better scenes that they did with her, and it was because it wasn't out of place, because we saw her in the first one jumping around these junk Star Destroyers, scrapping for parts. So it's like, okay, she knows her way around these leftover Hulks. I liked it.
Yeah, I like that bit. I thought that was pretty decent. Yeah, I know. Yeah, brilliant. I thought I'd give that
a Falcon of the Force ghost.
Awesome. Where was I going? The whole force healing stuff. I just didn't buy into that. I didn't buy into that.
Got a big problem with force healing.
Yeah, again, not really too much to say about visual effects. I mean, it was okay. I didn't enjoy the planet where they met Lando. I didn't enjoy that bit too much at all.
Oh, the festival. You didn't like the festival?
Yeah, that wasn't great.
It was Burning Man, I believe. That's what. No.
What else? There was something else I was going to say. I can't remember. God, this film was pants. I don't want to cuss it just for the sake of cussing it. There were some good points in it, but they're just very few and far between. Mm-hmm. And I think with the Star Wars film, it's all well and good having the action and stuff like that, and the great scenes and the scenery and all the ships and the lightsaber battles and stuff like that. But you've got to have a story to go with it. And I think modern films these days are just too over-reliant on CGI, and they lack real story. They do. I mean, the only other films that I can think of that have got great CGI and have got a good storyline, and there's 22 of the buggers, and that's the Marvel movies, how they all roll into one and end up with Endgame. You've got 9 films here, and they could get the 9 films to marry up together.
And they couldn't get there.
And that takes away a lot from the original trilogy, in my eyes. Right, quickly, this musical score. What have you given that for that?
I gave that just a 3.
Yeah.
I think I was numb.
Yeah. Well, you probably couldn't even hear the score because you just went... I've gone 2.5. I like John Williams, but the guy was getting on, and I don't think he could be asked to do a whole new score. So basically, he's just used every bit of music for the whole Star Wars saga and just bumped it into one movie. The bit where Luke's lifting the X-Wing up and the Yoda's theme comes on, what a cheap imitation. That really annoyed me, because that was Yoda's theme, and he did that. And that's taken it away from Empire Strikes Back. That shouldn't have happened. 8 out of 15 for this film. I mean, I'm just blown away by how poor the sequels were. So excited to see them and watch them new Star Wars films coming out, and then they sort of like serve that up. I think it was an insult to fans. But saying that, I think that was an insult to the original trilogy fans. Like you say, it's Star Wars for different generations. You've got the prequel trilogy.
So.
It's for a certain generation. You've got the sequels are for this generation. Now, these are just my views and opinions. Doesn't mean I'm right. Doesn't mean I'm wrong. But they say opinions are like arseholes. Everybody's got one. You don't necessarily want to hear them. But again, if they're standalone movies, I'd probably enjoy them more. But I'm looking at the bigger picture, where all the films should marry together and make sense. They don't. I just don't. You know,
like you said, Marvel did it on a grand scale and did it well.
Yeah.
And why they couldn't land the plane?
Well, the thing is, they're both owned by Disney. Marvel's owned by Disney. Lucasfilm is owned by Disney. I just don't. You know, Star Wars is a big franchise. A big franchise. I just don't understand what happened. I really don't. It's disappointing, but like I say, people enjoy the films and fair play to them. You know, I like them. I don't hate them, but you know, you got to look at the bigger picture. You got to put all the 9 films together. And so, what was your final score for
Rise?
Skywalker? Yeah,
that was 8.
8. Wow, I think it was the same. Yeah, the same. So there you are. Well, that was it. That was the Star Wars reviews. We did it. Yeah. It's just interesting to hear other people's thoughts and stuff like that. And
I was looking forward to this.
I mean, it's a nice, easy conversation to start with, I guess, for the first one. Next time we'll make sure we don't have any technical issues. But there you are. What can you do?
Yeah, growing.
But
cool.
Well, I just want to thank everybody that was in the chat. Appreciate you turning out and tuning in. That's much appreciated. We hopefully going to do another one in a few weeks' time. This is not going to be like a too regular thing because we don't want to overdo it, sort of thing. So we'll obviously come up with something else to chat about, and we'll do another one in about 3-4 weeks' time. So just want to thank you for your company, Scuba Pete. It's always a pleasure.
Right back at you,
definitely. Stu. And let's just go to try some more. I hate how the Force became a MacGuffin. No rules, we can heal, teleport. Sloppy writing. Yeah. Yep. Again, it was Goji. Definitely, it was real lazy writing. Thank you, Bob. Appreciate that, man.
Oh, we got Trenton.
Bob. Yeah, where's Trenton? There he is. Thank you very much, my friend. Much appreciated.
Like the Wampa.
Yeah. Decent. Cool. And Boba Hicks. Where is he going?
Oh, yeah.
Go, lads. I'm going to hit the hay. No worries. Right. Well, again, thank you very much, people, for joining us. Like I say, we'll do another one in a few weeks' time. So all of you stay safe and much love. Goodbye for now.